Good morning. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. We are back again after that weekend break. So wherever you are, welcome to QTV this morning. We are broadcasting from the Gambia, West Africa on QCell Avenue. And we are about to take you through this week again for our newspaper review. Of course, Community Watch. I mean, we discuss social issues, and of course, we also invite our guests for us to review some of the stories making headlines. And I am with Julde Njai. Good morning, Julde. It's good to have you.
Good morning, Ibrahim. Good morning to our viewers. Like you said, it's good to be back. It's Monday, the first day of the week. And, you know, we are glad to be back here to actually start what we, continue what we started last week, inshallah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have Mr. Momodou Mbodj as our newspaper review guest. Good morning, Mr. Momodou Mbodj. I can see you representing QCell there with your orange pen.
Yes, but you also noticed I've got a blue shirt. I've got Monday blues.
Monday blues. Jazz blues. It reminds me of jazz blues. You know,
Blues,
it's sort of a
blues.
it's blues, sort of they are genre of music, some
Genre.
yeah, sort of
Absolutely. Very African American. Yep.
blues. Yes. So how are you? How have you been? How is the power on and off at your end? Is it stabilized now?
Well, you know, with people, you adapt.
Yeah.
So already some of us are adapting.
Adaptation.
Absolutely,
Yes.
you can't help it.
Yes.
After 2-3 days, then the body itself really begins to adapt itself, which is a wonderful thing about human beings. Yes, well, we know that we are going to suffer this sort of thing until at least
The
mid-month, until 15th of June. That's what they've said.
Today is on the 8th.
Today is the 8th.
Probably by next week.
Though I have to accept, yesterday, when it went off around 6 or so in the evening,
There was power again.
I thought that it wasn't going to come again until today.
And there was power.
But by 1 o'clock, because I was still awake by then, by 1 o'clock it came back on.
Mr. Mbodj, in fact,
in
fact, Mr. Mbodj, what are you going to use power for? Because for you, I don't think your activities are too much. Do you watch TV?
No.
You don't watch TV.
Oh my God, how can I say that? But that's the truth.
Yes.
I don't even
That's
have a...
the reality.
I don't have a TV.
Yes.
So
that's the reality. So you have few activities. Maybe it's just to charge your mobile phone and a fan maybe to blow you on an AC.
Which is absolutely important.
Yes.
You cannot do without that.
Yeah.
My laptop.
Your laptop.
My battery is a bit funny. It's not working. So I need direct.
You need direct
electricity, direct power.
So I wonder sometimes if people are complaining about electricity, Mr. Mbodj, you shouldn't complain much because you don't need much electricity. You need a power bank at your house.
Yeah, you need a power bank.
Yeah, you're not like
a rechargeable
Yes.
fan and you're good to go.
yes.
Your mom put solve the problem is easy.
The practical aspects.
Yes.
That's one thing. Obviously, this is a different level from the family man or woman who would normally buy lots of food and put it in the freezer and then there's no electricity. That's a completely different level. But yet, when it comes to the comfort, you see, practicality is one thing, but the personal comfort is also important in these things. I suspect that perhaps the personal comfort is uniform.
Exactly.
It's the same, but it's in the practical aspects which I accept easily,
Find
of
it
course.
difficult to sleep these days.
That sort of thing, and it dampens the spirit. That's what I find. Perhaps during the day you don't feel it as much, but at night when there's no light, it dampens the spirit. Again, the mosquitoes.
And we're approaching we're heading to the rainy season.
Yes.
And, you know, mosquitoes here and there. And then Gambia, we were doing so well in terms of our malaria figures.
Malaria control program.
Yes, but now with all these light on and off, and then the rainy season with mosquitoes,
I think it's a bit unfair to blame NAWEC for malaria.
if there is no electricity, no fans, and mosquitoes are free access, Mr.
Well, you know, the fan can help.
I see the change.
Sometimes, you know, mosquitoes, normally they don't go where you have a lot of air blowing. You understand?
Granted.
So there is you sleep comfortable when the fan is on.
I understand all of that, but I draw the line somewhere. I cannot blame Narek for malaria.
Why? It's a contributing factor.
It's a contributing factor.
Okay, yes, yes.
People like me, man munuma nelo fan so talut. So obviously, if there is no fan,
mosquitoes in the
if you cannot sleep under a mosquito net,
now it is contributing to malaria. Malaria problems in this country. Yes. So we'll take a look at the African code. They were edu mungi won si confirmation bi. They gonna set buñ don play. Set bi mung don def on and off because of Nawek. Can you imagine? Ñu taal tuuti rek du yaga mu fay. Ñu taal tuuti du yaga mu fay. Yeah, so we are going to take a look at the African code from the Code, the newspaper review with Mr. Momodou Mbodj. Food safety in focus, protecting consumers amid frequent power outages. And of course, we'll be talking to Dr. Idrissa Balde, Principal Food Inspector, Food Safety and Quality Authority. Aissatou Sarr, Food Inspector, Food Safety and Quality Authority. Then Setal Suñu Réew, Banjul Community Cleaning Exercise. We'll be talking to Suleiman Conte, Manager Q Radio, and Ohilip Kamara. Wow, that's an interesting name. Kir Hale Yi Foundation. They will be on the program, and we will be talking. Someone said to me the other day, stop crossing your legs when you are on TV. But I feel comfortable when I do it. So we'll be talking to the team on Suñu Réew Setal Community Cleansing Exercise in Banjul. So Julia, let's take a look at the African code. You can take us through.
Okay. Our African code this morning reads, a man's knowledge cannot be read in his face, nor can a woman's virtue. A man's knowledge cannot be read in his face, nor can a woman's virtue.
A man's knowledge cannot be read in his face, nor can a woman's virtue. This proverb is very confusing. This proverb is really catamelizing. In fact, it is anti-disadvertisementarism.
Oh my God, what does that mean?
It's all talking about mixture. It's all amalgamated.
That's what we used to call mumbo jumbo.
Mumbo jumbo. What word is that? You are confusing me.
Okay.
Yes,
You're
so Mr. Mbodj, you can start.
Essentially, you cannot judge a book by its cover.
True.
Everybody knows that. You cannot judge a book. Because when we talk about knowledge, this is not something you see. You know what I mean? Yeah? And when you talk about virtue, it is not something you see. You know what I mean? Literally, it doesn't exist like that.
Okay.
It is inferred. You infer from actions. You do A, B, C, and D. I'm like, wow, that guy is knowledgeable. It is what you demonstrate, then people can deduce, can tease out that that's knowledgeable.
Yes.
Likewise with the woman, your virtue. I can look at you. You may look like a star from another planet, yet be a horrible human being. I need to see what you do.
Yes.
You know, I need to delve deeper to see the person really, the person behind the appearance. Be careful with appearances. You don't get the essence of things with appearances, just like with books. The cover doesn't tell you anything about the content, which is between the covers.
Well, I think appearance is very dangerous. Sometimes you need to know the individual very well. I mean, people can look different,
Right.
but attitudinal, you know, reaction sometimes it's a problem. We've seen it, you know, people that appears to be gentlemen, but inside they are demons. We've seen that. People who portray to be very innocent. But when you discuss with them, or when you look at them properly, you will realize these people are not what they portray to be.
Right.
Yeah. So
Exactly. Just like you mentioned, it's very tricky, and sometimes it's very hard to know an individual. You cannot know people, you know. It's only when you interact with them, it's the time you get to know who they are really. But just by looking at them, you can't tell whether this person is a good person by appearance or by the way they, you know, behave and all of that. It's very difficult to actually know a human being. And a classical example of that is during the TRRC, and I hear a lot of people saying, these people, it's not Gambian. Gambians cannot, they are not capable of doing something like this. I was like, they're human beings first before being Gambians. So sometimes appearance really can be deceptive, and you know, people ought to be very, very vigilant and careful, you know, with judging people based on their appearance. Even though there is a saying that, you know, first impression matters, and then appearance can, sometimes people can judge you based on that, really. Because if you appear in a very big gathering and then you wear clothes that are not really in line with that gathering, a high diplomatic event, sometimes people can tend to judge you based on that. But you know, so the most important things about life is not to judge people based on their appearance, but get to know them, get to the bottom of the matter before you actually judge
people. When you look at the problems sometimes, let's take a good example of Nigeria, for example. There are people that call themselves to be religious at some point and carrying out certain activities. When you look at them, you think, okay, yeah, these people are, you know, on the other side. That's the side of Islam, probably. But when you look at their actions, you'll definitely know this is not what Islam called for. So there is a confusion. Sometimes what people portray and what is in there is totally different. But it only takes a person with intellect to be able to differentiate those things.
I'm not sure about the intellect bit. So some people are very good at reading character. You could be an intellectual or you could not be. It depends. It doesn't confine to those things. And what is the point of going all the way to Nigeria? Right here in this country, somebody in the office came to me and said, there's this particular person, I'm not going to name names. Every time he went to this person's house, the person's always praying, whatever you're doing. He seemed really extremely religious. Now, what happened? Years later, accused of all sorts of corruption, going to court. We'll see what comes out of that.
Yes.
With us, most of the time we fall for it. We fall for appearances. Never mind what these proverbs tell us. We know that the wisdom in it. But there's maybe something in us hardwired that sometimes you just fall for appearances.
So for today, we are not going to take a break. We'll go straight to the newspaper because it's already you know, past the time of the African code. So taking a break will definitely affect us. So we apologize. QCell, we believe your ads would play, but please, this one, take this as a gratis. Give it to us as a gratis. Yeah, so let's take a look at the Standard newspaper. Coalition Task Force opens nomination for flag bearer. The opposition coalition forces are moving into a critical phase of political consolidation by officially opening the application process for who will lead them into the upcoming elections. Mr. Momodu Mboj, on the Standard newspaper.
Yes, where is it? Absolutely.
But Mr. Mboj,
what's the coalition?
Let's be real.
I need to know the coalition.
Yes, let's.
Is it the Apex?
The Apex coalition.
Apex.
And it's led by Fatoumata Tambajang. She's the one negotiating.
Well, perhaps the coordinator. Nobody's leading it.
Yeah, she's the
that
one
is
coordinating.
Why, absolutely. So that is why, sort of, yes, okay, flag bearer. So granted, fine. It will be interesting to see how it goes, how it pans out. So we are all watching. We have to wish them well. A country works well when you have a strong, good opposition. So as a citizen, it is in my interest to wish them well. We'll see now how they deliver, what they perform.
On the same newspaper, on a similar headline, the mayor of KMC, the head of Unite Movement, Talib Bensouda, He said candidates must not be selected based on party size. I think this is in response when UDP said if there is to be a coalition, there will be the flag bearers because they are the largest. And it's true, UDP is the largest opposition party in this country.
Well, in politics, really, numbers mean power. In the end, we vote. Numbers win in the end, or you lose by numbers. So it will be interesting to see how they do it here. If you want to take away that aspect of it, that reality. So I'm not sure then what criteria do you want, but size matters in politics as elsewhere. So that's all I'm going to say. I do not know what else he wants. How this is going to go. I'm not going to make any judgment. It just seems to me that that's a tall ask. How would UDP take it? Would they accept? But we know that size matters in democratic politics.
Absolutely.
So what other criteria do you want? Even though I understand the situation, because should they use size, UDP has an advantage. So how do you deal with this situation? It's an awkward situation. But this will show us their political skill in manipulating, navigating complex situations, because this is what will be required. Should your flag bearer win, you become head of a nation, that's the kind of complexity you're going to face. So show us what you can do. I certainly do not have the answers. Let them answer it for us.
All right.
Well, it will be a very interesting one. But the issue of Mama Kande, you know, I discussed with a person yesterday, and he said Mama was just relevant during 2016. But apart from that, many people are cross-carpeting from his party to other parties. He's not on top of the game anymore. Are you seeing that, Mr. Mbodj?
Obviously, the momentum, the performance in the first elections and afterwards, and even in the parliamentary, the party, GDC, had members of parliament, and then the wards, as it were, the local government elections in the wards. Well, look at it today. It's been depleting. This is not a judgment. It is a fact. So this
is the reality of politics.
It is the reality of how the evolution, the progression of GDC, from when it came onto the scene, the momentum it had, had so many people, and some people will even credit him for the coalition winning, all sorts of things. Right. Absolutely, there was that. Nobody can deny that. And then in the parliamentary elections, they had a few members of parliament and on others. But what happened subsequently? It just dwindled. This is a fact. It's not a judgment. Why? Like, I didn't know. Now, what is his relevance? Well, electorally, I do not see it. Can he rediscover what they say, his mojo? Maybe. I do not know.
Interesting. I've also listened to His Excellency President Adama Barrow, his speech at the launching of the Food and Medicine Laboratory at Bursubi, turntable. He said, look, this is politics. We are all in the game. We push and pull. But it should not prevent us from uniting. At the end of the time, if one wins, we all rally behind the individual and move on. And that was really a very powerful message.
Yes. It's easier to say. What would unity look like? When it comes to the details, that's where everything breaks down.
Right.
So when we speak in abstractions, that is why it's just so easy. You know what I mean? We just say we want A, B, C, and D and all the rest of it. But now, what does it take to translate words into actions, sort of actions that would give you the desired outcomes? Do you know how many actions have failed to give the desired outcomes? Because perhaps they were misconceived. You see? That's why when I diagnose a problem, I should be very, very careful. Otherwise, if I misdiagnose, then the prescription will probably kill the patient, as doctors will tell you. So it's the same with social ill social issues, when we misdiagnose, then you bring the wrong prescription, then you will not solve the issue. So, you know, just will is not enough. Competence, ability, these things matter so much.
December 5th dina saf kom temeri yumba si bena tubey. Julle, that will be hot.
No, it will be hot.
Because people will look at me and
December.
tell me you are from Basse and you'll be voting for Barrow. I don't know where they got that thing.
Yeah.
So your region determines nyan kan nga
Loolu lañ ma
voter.
dee-
Can you
You are from
imagine?
Basse, you are voting for Barrow. Man
Exactly,
nga ne man nag
people say
xamuleen ma ne maa ngi xalaat ku ma votal.
Yeah.
And you know,
And
it's
then
not
you want
easy.
to transition from that belief that, okay, you're from this particular region or you're from this particular tribe, that it's automatic that you're going to vote for a particular individual. I think we should really transition from
Absolutely.
that. And that we've seen now improvements yange happen legi, you know, because I want to believe it's because of the level of education and awareness. People are now transitioning, looking at more of policies, programs, and what people can do. And now the debate now, even though you see a lot of people, you know, being tribal, but now you see now there is a transition from the tribal lines or tribal way of doing politics now into more of policy frameworks and all of that, which I think it's good, because now you hear a lot of people saying, okay, what has he done? But in the first time, in the second time, what has he done in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of you know, health, in terms of education, and of course in terms of electricity. See a lot of debates coming up on board.
Said a lot there.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. Debates will always happen
Right.
by us. They call us the chatterati, people who sit down and chat a lot. That sort of thing. Chatterati. Ordinary people, what so-called ordinary people, you know, not education is not high, income is not high, that sort of thing. I'm not sure whether they take this rational analysis of policies and to decide who to vote for. Let's not kid ourselves. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. So maybe even with us, the so-called educated ones, we think that we are being rational, but we don't see the emotional aspects playing sort of in our decision making. We don't see ourselves. It's easier to see somebody else than to see yourself. That sort of thing. So that's a difficult thing. That is why now we say that we don't want this regionalism and all of this. You know, a properly democratic society should focus on issues. Then I look at Britain, for instance. They call it the mother of really modern democracy, in many ways, the mother of parliament. Well, there's a certain class of people, now it's breaking down. They would always vote Labour, the working classes. Never mind what the issues are. It's an ideological position, as it were. Now that is breaking down. So for some reason, there are certain categories. People vote according to certain categories, belonging to certain categories, instead of just taking a purely rational analysis of situations. That's a fantasy. That's a fantasy. People don't behave like that. So, yes, let us be careful with this regionalism, obviously, but when I look at things, I don't think we can remove that. Maybe not for now. Or the ethnic group, or we can drum. Boy, the loudest drums until the cows come home. I don't know. That is not going to change. You know what I mean? It's a fantasy. So
But you know, what I sometimes I hear people talk about, okay, now Africa should learn from the West. You understand? I mean, with the attitude that we portray, it will be very difficult for us to learn from the West. First, let us talk about the number. We have to know the number of political. In fact, we need to reduce the number of political parties that we have. First.
Do you want to impose it? I do not know how you're going to do that. When you look at the West, what is the West? It depends on what country you're talking about. They all have different histories.
They got a political maturity.
No, calm down. The West is not monolithic. It is not homogeneous. You have diversity, different experiences. Any group, you have variety within any group. It's never one thing or two things. Any group, you have variety. When you take, for instance, Britain, now you have the two major parties, which is breaking down right now, possibly, with other parties coming. It took a long time to have this Labour Conservative two-party thing. They have evolved.
How long does it take?
Centuries to form a society.
So we are not there yet.
Are we necessarily going in the same direction?
That is the thing.
So we have no idea where we are going. The future is sort of always,
There is no
it's
system.
always specific.
Then the issue of politics,
just do not know.
tribal
Yeah.
politics will still remain here.
Not necessarily, but you could change, but in a different direction.
Yeah.
Why do you think that there's just one universal ruler, and then the West, they're right ahead, they're around 8. We are right now around 3
you're
or 4.
telling me we need to
so
modernize
we are
it?
going that way. No, I don't
we
think
need
so.
to modernize that, then put
I
a
don't think
touch
so.
of our Africanism in it.
What does that mean? That's meaningless. What problems do I face now? What's the best way to deal with them?
Solution.
Start with practicality. The rest will take care of themselves.
All right, so before we close this segment, Ousainou Darboe, leader of the United Democratic Party, UDP, explicitly underscores that defeating President Adama Barrow is functionally impossible or highly unlikely without a unified opposition front. It's like the whole paper is talking about politics, elections, politics, campaigns.
Because we're, what, 6 months or so from there? Yes, to me it sort of intuitively feels right. When you come as a coalition, you are much stronger. When you come individually, the incumbent will pick you off one after the other. So that's especially in our situation where you don't need absolute majority. Just first past the post. It doesn't matter what turnout. It could be 20% turnout. If I win the majority of that, who cares? That's it. I've got legitimacy. That's the system we have. So he is absolutely correct. So now the challenge is, how do we form that coalition? That is the challenge for them.
That is the challenge. That's where the conversation is going to get really interesting. Yes. So this is what we have for the newspaper review, Julde.
Okay.
We'll now take a short break. After the break, then
take
we
a
will
leave of Mr. Mboj.
Yes, Mr.
Yes,
Momodu
because
Mboj.
today actually drive time on Q Radio.
Oh, drive time is coming back.
Back.
Oh, wow.
Welcome back. Dañ ko war a ngénte waat ndax?
Baal ma fompa suma radio bi. Ngeen naa déglu radio
Dañ
rek.
ko war a ngénte.
Waaw fompa suma radio bi.
Well, xam nga lu ees nga dee ngente. Waaye bi eesut as such de.
Waaye de
dafa
woon na
tukki
de.
woon.
Non dañ ajoon ngénte bi. Léegi dañoo beesalaat.
Dañ ko ñamboo woon léegi ngénte bi la.
Wow. Well, you know, Drive Time, it's one of the programs boo xam ne mu ngi doon create an impact in this country. Moo nekk si suba sooy ñëw repeat bi. Nga déglu ko. Sooy ñibbi, what a timing.
Well, hang on the concept.
What a timing.
Just asking the right questions. What are the issues? Just as the last time, you know.
Wow.
What problems do we face? How do we solve them? So much else is just noise. That's sort of. Let's focus
Mamad,
on what
delu la suma position. Man my producer bi. Mr. Boy Delsina. Man my producer bi Drive Time. Yes. So viewers, we'll take a short break. After the break, then the program continue. We'll be back. The new timings of our programs on QTV. You Dialogue will be live. So make sure you watch that with Julden Jai. And it will be live. Yeah, so now let's move on to the other segment of this program. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV This Morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. Food safety in focus, protecting consumers and frequent frequent power outages. And we have Dr. Idrissa Balde, Principal Food Inspector, Food Safety and Quality Authority. Mr. Balde, it's good to have you here. Hono ya wari yarda kosang.
Wairani kosam go.
Hono duma yarda kosang.
Maybe baldi di bawa.
Oh really? Mene me ya fa da hitande me yarani kosang.
No yare kosam mom.
Yeah.
Because ono wite PhD ko mata ko wala ko PhD ko kosam mo no study.
Oh.
You know, so ko mi rutino ka chosan.
Okay.
So kosam no moji.
Very good.
Ko wiata ko lactic acid bacteria. Du woni bacteria mojo. Woni e kosam ko dum watta ha sai ko on bacteria wonata he nder keddan. After keddan an wada change da wona kosam. because bacteria yaltinta acido. So on bacteria wondono different bacteria. On bacteria no moƴƴe bandu. Sa yari gari ko moƴƴe se woni gari duma.
Good bacteria.
Good bacteria. So it produce to promote health.
So kosam hekeddam. Homo buri moƴƴude health wise?
Fono moƴƴi. Sa waɗa mix because fono moƴƴi because keddam kosam nan koye keddam iwi. So keddam sa laari maybe 70% fof ko ndiyam. Ko heddi gongo protein, fats, carbohydrate, ɗum woni sukaro. ɗum woni sukara wonɗo gandi kosam keddan sa yari andi haɗani lammani because ko sukara wonton eyyi ko wiyete ko ɗum woni lactose yo ko on sukara noon ko on watta mixé bactéria on afta ɗum wona kosam so yargol kosam e keddan ɗum no moƴƴiya joni noon in the world there are many people ɓe wona halgol like a fotani yarde milk non heewi effect but it's good. What advice got there?
Now let's move on to
natural one.
Yes, let's move
exactly.
Yes.
No plant. I don't support plant-based milk.
Okay.
Because I don't consider it as milk.
Yeah. So now let's move on. Let's talk about protecting consumers amid the frequent power outages.
Yes.
You know, what is going to be the dangers? I mean, during this power cuts.
Okay.
You know.
With
the types of
okay, thank you very much. If you allow me, I just want to make a short introduction. You know, I'm very pleased to be here. I've been a very big fan of your show since I was in abroad. When you guys started, I used to watch you on YouTube because of the time difference. Right, I just finished work, I come home, and I'll just tune in. I watch it. You know, you know, Balde and the letters he joined, and then the other people, Mr. Mbo and the other lady, is it Jennifer? Yeah, they had the drama as well. So I'm very pleased to be here today.
Thank you.
And
thank
also,
you for following.
Exactly. So I'm also very pleased to be here. Very impressive. The new building, the Q building, is very, very impressive.
Yes.
You know, very inspiring. As a Gambian, if you see that, you get impressed.
Absolutely.
I just wish that it was just by the road, so that everyone that comes to Gambia will see it. So we need many Gambians like Mohamed. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for bringing me here today. I'm very pleased. As you guys know, I'm Dr. Idrissa Balde. I work with the Food Safety and Quality Authority of the Gambia. So to begin, I want to wish every Gambian a happy World Food Safety Day. We are currently celebrating World Food Safety Day. Yesterday, we were at our office, and we went around from the Kairava Avenue area here towards Bakau, you know, on a march past, sensitize the people and also celebrate, and also, you know, encourage people to be healthier. Yes. So back to your question. About the frequent power outages. Yes, they are in the past, you know, can be say around the weekend towards in the last week, there have been power outages. You know, that has been happening, which is normal sometimes, you know, which is unavoidable, you know. But what you do, what we say in FSQA, food safety is a shared responsibility. It's not the responsibility of only FSQA. Our job is to enforce the laws of this country, that is to ensure that any food that is sold to the public is safe, fit, and wholesome. That anyone that eats the food will not get sick. You know, anyone that eats the food, they will get the appropriate nutrition and also they are assured of improving their health. So when power outages happen, you know, so sometimes it can put food at risk. Food spoilage do happen, you know, and also so if people eat that, they get sick from it. So in order to prevent it, so when you if your food fridge is cold and you don't open the fridge, it can last, the food there can last until for 4 hours. You know, the temperature will still be at normal temperature. You know, and if it is frozen, if it is a frozen, it's like a freezer, it can go beyond 24 hours. You know, so the food, it will still be between the safe limits. You know, but after that, it's your responsibility to check. You know, if the food has been exposed for a lot of hours beyond, like on room temperature, that food should not be eaten. You know, if you cook food, the rule is you should refrigerate it within 2 hours. After 2 hours, there's a high possibility that bacteria will start growing. And in this sense, we are not talking about the good bacteria like in yogurt. We're talking about the bad bacteria. You know, like E. coli, salmonella, you know, bacteria that will make you sick, you know, that can make you vomit, you know, it can make you, you know, can make your stomach ache, it can even kill you. There, you know, in the world every year, hundreds of thousands of people do die from foodborne illnesses. You know, so this is what you do. And also advise people, when you are freezing food, to freeze in smaller portions. If you freeze in smaller portions, there it's easier to freeze, you know, and also it will not be a bigger risk as well. So these are things that you should do. So for pertaining to the food establishments, like supermarkets that do sell food, supermarkets that are maybe, for example, the high-risk food, let's say dairy products like milk, you know, you should be refrigerating this food all the time. So, but if then the food has been exposed to room temperature for a couple of hours, like let's say 10 hours or like, you should not be selling that food. You should dispose it. And as a consumer, if you see that a food is being sold that is not safe, your first responsibility is not to buy that food. And the other thing that you should do is to inform the FSQA. You know, then we will come. You know, in a couple of times, you know, many times, you know, we do have reports from people that find food that is being displayed for sale, or food that is being, you know, that is unsafe, or that could be injurious to health, and they will inform us. Then we would go, and then we will keep this anonymous. We don't inform our sources. You know, we will just go and do our investigations. Sometimes, though, people, you know, do have bad perceptions and tell us, then we'll go and do investigate, and we find that it is not contrary to the laws.
So,
Yes.
so in terms of monitoring as well, because I think this is a perfect opportunity and it's a critical moment, because you see, you know, most part of the country have frequent power outages, and
Yes.
sometimes it goes up to more than 24 hours.
Yes.
So in terms of monitoring, how frequent or often are you monitoring at the FSQA level?
Yeah, so at the FSQA, inspection is a daily routine. You know, we have inspectors all over the country, you know, so we do inspection every time. But then we cannot also be at every establishment or every type of establishment every day, you know. So we do, for example, in particular weeks, like in a particular week, we may concentrate on bakeries, for example, and sometimes we go concentrate on markets. And in some days, we concentrate on street food, in sometimes supermarkets or restaurants, depending also on the area, you know. So we do very frequent inspections. So when we go also, we inspect for many things. You know, for example, if we are inspecting, let's say, a vendor, we look at the first thing that we look at is the environment, the environmental hygiene. You know, whether it is, for example, if it is near a dustbin or, you know, or a dumping area, you know, or if there's a stagnant water around that area, and then we look at the staff hygiene. You know, so for example, if you're handling food, you should not be wearing any, you know, like bangles or earrings. You know, for example, they are displayed, or you should be covering your hair, you know, for example, or you should not be, you know, having long nails, you know, and all of that. So the basic, and the person should look very clean, and their clothing as well. So we look at those aspects as well, you know, and then also we will look at how the food is being displayed. So whether, like in a street food, if it is covered.
You need a box or?
Yeah, exactly. So it should be covered. You know, if it is not covered, we find that this is a very, you know, a serious violation, and then the food has to be, you know, discarded. You know, we have to seize that food. You know, so we do very frequent inspections. We go around. So in these power outages, as you said, so we have been going around and inspect, and we also have even thermometers with us. Our inspectors have thermometers. So when they go to inspect certain places, like in freezers, we can check, you know, if these freezer temperatures are within the normal range. For example, if it's a fridge, like let's say it's between 4 degrees Celsius down, a freezer at least minus degrees, you know. So in the, let's say in the fish establishments which export fish, so they have to be sometimes their cold rooms have to be minus 21 degrees Celsius. If they are beyond that, we would not have to export that fish, or we don't allow it to be sold to be sold, you know. So we do that. We have those materials. We go around, you know, and inspect.
So what is the best way? Because during these power outages, you know, it happened it coincided with the Tobaski festive season.
Yes.
And a lot of meat got spoiled, and then you see other people also suggesting that it's either you put the meat on, you know, under the sun, or you steam it, or what is the best method to actually preserve it without using the refrigerator?
Okay, so before coming to the question, let me say something. So one of the 5 keys of safe food is, number one is like washing. Like before you handle food and after you handle food, you should wash your hand. That is one key. And the other thing is, you should always be separating raw and cooked food. When you say raw and cooked, like if you have a chicken, you fry the chicken, and then the other one unfried, like raw, you mix them together, you are contaminating it. You know, for example, raw chicken has a reservoir for salmonella, so it can easily pass this. And when you eat the cooked one, because that is ready to eat food, you know, you have, you know, health complications. So another aspect is, which touches your question, is about the raw material. So you cannot have safe food if your raw material is bad. So if you can have clean water, vegetables, but then your chicken or the meat is rotten, it will never be good again. You know, if rotten, even if you fry it, you do whatever it is, the way the bacteria will die, but the toxins are there. So when you eat that food, it will not go well. You know, so when you have a lot of meat at home, what I advise is to freeze the food. If you are keeping it for a longer period, refrigerated food should not be more than 3 days. You know, like 2 days maximum is okay. You know, after that you should have, if you are keeping it for a longer period, that means you should freeze it. You know, when I live abroad, when I was responsible for my own cooking, what I do is if I buy bulk, I put it in small pieces, like portions. Okay. There, when you come, you don't have, because what do we call, if you continuous or repeated cycle of free storing can also have an effect on the food. So for example, you have a lot of meat, then you put it all out, it defreezes, right? And when it defreezes, bacteria start growing there. Yeah. When the bacteria start growing, after a while you freeze it again. That bacteria will not die, they will freeze. Whenever you put it again, the bacteria start continuing. So this can expose you, it can be poisonous to you. You know, so when it is spoiled, you should never feed it. So like what you said, like drying is a method of, you know, preparing and curing. It's a traditional method of storing food. So it's okay if you do that drying and freezing, but if you do it in a safe method, you know, and salting, people do all of those. Smoking, it's all, but you should do it before the food gets spoiled. When it is spoiled, it is non-reversible. Yeah, you should never use it. Because some of the effects that people don't know, like it's not what you just eat, and then if you eat food and you don't get sick within an hour, 2 or 10 hours, you think the food is safe. No. Some of it have long-term effects. Okay. You know, that it accumulates on your body for longer period, and sometimes those are the most deadly ones. Okay. Yes. For example, like the recent WHO report on the World Food Safety Day, they mentioned about, you know, increase in reports of food being contaminated from heavy metals like lead, mercury, cadmium. These metals, they accumulate in food through the soil, agriculture, like in the fields, or, you know, through water, you know, and sometimes contaminated areas, you know. So for example, let's say you have a river that is near a dumping area. You know, though these chemicals or metals, they get into this water. This goes into the fish. So when you bring the fish, it doesn't change the smell. It doesn't change the color and all of that. You eat it. You continue to eat it, so it kind of like bioaccumulates in your body. After a while, so this can cause kidney diseases, you know, it can cause cancers, you know, it can cause developmental problems in kids. You know, at the long run, so it will kill so many people. You know, so that's why, for example, the EU, they have these very strict restrictions. Like if you are sending any item into their country, you have to check for all of these heavy metals. You know, so thank God we have a new laboratory that is inaugurated recently by the president. So hopefully in a year or in the short period, we will be able to test these things, you know, in our food systems. Yes. You know, to ensure that every food that is being sold, we are 100% sure that is safe.
What are the signs that you can check and know, okay, this food is not very good for me to eat?
Okay, so one of the signs that you can check, very good question, is what we call organoleptic test, organoleptic check. That is checking the useful organs. For example, if it is fish, you know, first thing is the smell. If you are buying a fish and you think that the smell is changed, you should not eat that fish. You know, or sometimes the texture, it is too soft. You know, those are things that you should look for.
My mom will tell me, check the fish eye. Yes. If it's red, it's not good.
Yeah, very good. You know, so the eyes also sometimes, the eyes, you know, the eye colors change. So those are things that you check. In the meat as well, it's the same thing, the smell, and those are things that you check. Okay. But there are, when I say about heavy metal, those things are not things that you can check by organ. It's only the laboratory that will be able to tell you. You know, so like in the agricultural field, for example, when farmers grow their crops, you know, they apply pesticides.
Yes.
You know, these pesticides, there should be a limit. If you overdo it, the residues remains in the crop. When you harvest, so the residues could be more than the limit. And then when people eat it, they will consume this pesticide. So if you eat a lot of it, it will be too much. So that's why in food safety, we say that food should be safe from the farm to the fork, or from the farm to the plate. Every aspect. From the farm, the food should be safe. When it is safe from the farm, that is there should be no contamination in the soil. There should be no contamination, or, you know, from the chemicals that you apply.
But here we don't.
When you are distributing it,
we don't have what it takes to determine that.
Yeah, but we work with farmers and our partners like Ministry of Agriculture, you know, to ensure that the farmers are given the right information, you know, on what to do. You know, so when for example, you know about probably aflatoxin. Maybe
Yes,
you guys
yes,
have talked about it
aflatoxin.
before here.
groundnut.
Yeah, aflatoxin in the groundnut. So if you apply good agricultural practices, you would save your crops from aflatoxin. So once it is safe from aflatoxin, so it is not. It should safe at the farm. It should be safe at the storage. If it is safe at the storage, it should be safe during the distribution and at the market as well, and up to the final consumer. So it should be safe. So that's what we say, from farm to the fork, it should be safe throughout the period.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are some of the foods that you think, from your expert point of view, that
Yes.
should be refrigerated and others that should not be? Because
Okay.
we see now a lot of times vegetables and other, we put it,
Yeah.
and then I hear my mom say a lot, this should not be in the fridge. You cannot, you will have bacteria and all of that.
Okay. Yeah. So all ready to eat foods, you should be refrigerated. For example, when the food is cooked, after within 2 hours, you should refrigerate that food. That is normal. Right? All ready to eat foods. If you fry your food, your chicken, you know, if you have you cook, most people in this country, if they cook lunch, they use it for dinner. So you should refrigerate it, you know, to save yourself. Exactly. That is the normal.
Yeah,
that is how it should be.
No, we
Exactly.
we still leave it in the cooking pot.
Yeah, exactly. It's normal. Even in my home, they do it. You know, I'm guilty of that.
Yes.
You know, people do it. But when you are eating the food later, you should be able to reheat it to a certain temperature that the bacteria will die.
Okay.
Don't just be a jola, you are very hungry, or a cereal, that you say, oh, just a little bit,
Well, it's
okay, let me
fine.
eat.
You eat cold rice in the
So
night.
you should reheat it to a certain, like at least to, let's say, 90 degrees or 80, or at least 80 degrees. Most pathogenic bacteria, that is disease-causing bacteria, will die if you reheat, if it is exposed to temperatures beyond 78 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
They should be able to die. So you should be able to do that. So all the foods like milk, you should refrigerate it. You know, your eggs, like egg, like if it is naturally, when the chicken or the bats, you know, when they lay eggs, they have a natural like protection. But then, you know, usually the eggs that is coming into the shops, they are washed, you know, to appear good for customers, you know, so that remove the protective natural protection. So you should be able to refrigerate them.
Even eggs?
Eggs should be refrigerated. Sometimes once in a while you see people selling eggs on the street. Don't buy it.
Okay.
You know, you should not buy those. You know, every milk product you should be able to be refrigerated. You know, so even in your vegetables, if I'm not eating them quickly, you should be refrigerating them as well. You know, because most vegetables also are eaten raw. So that can expose, so that means that you have to have good care of them. Any food that is ready to eat food should be taken with good care.
Okay.
And you should be able to wash them, preferably with running water.
Okay.
With running water, you know, so that means under a tap.
Yes.
You know, so yeah, that's what you should
Balde,
do.
I'm a bit worried about a particular market in the Gambia.
Yes.
And food safety knows the market. I've mentioned it to
Probably I know what
the
you're talking
director.
about.
Is it the director
Yes,
general
Director
here?
General,
I've
yes.
mentioned it to many of your people here. That's the
Right.
Expire Market
Yes,
in
yes.
Serekunda.
Yes.
And you know, when you go, you meet a lot of expired products, and you still, I mean, you've seen that, and you still let that flow.
Okay, thank you.
What happened?
Very good question. You know, your question, I take it as a journalist question, is the question of many people around the country. They do ask us because the market was labeled Expire Johnson, but it doesn't mean that they sell expired food.
Oh, they don't.
They don't sell expired food. Our DG have explained this a couple of times with the media. So what they do
he
is
said
they
if
sell
we find any
expired
expired products, he will resign.
nearly expired products. So if someone is selling some product, let's say there's, you know, that is let's say some biscuit that will expire in 2-3 days. I don't have a right as a food, you know, food regulator to seize that. You know, you have to wait until the expiry date. So they usually bring foods that are normally close to expiry date.
Okay.
We've been there a couple of times, so many times, discreetly, to go and check. But you hardly find, I've never seen that. But probably, you know, expired products do happen usually, you know, because it happens globally. But it's the responsibility of the business person to remove it from their cells when the product expires. Immediately it hits the expiry date, it's their responsibility to remove it. But sometimes they do forget. Like you come and check and you find a tin of milk or 3, or sometimes like a carton. You know, it do happen sometimes. That we have to admit this happens. But it doesn't mean that it's an FSQA policy of doesn't care.
So what
Right?
about
They
the
do
alleged you know, rumor that was going on that most of these big supermarkets, they change the dates on their packs?
Well, people do say that, but for our case, we haven't had that evidence.
You haven't seen anything.
I remember a case that happened, you know, newly, like when FSQ, I joined FSQ, that was in around 2014, that we had a case of where a person, kind of changed a packaging of a food, of a sardine product. But when we detected it, the products were already out of the market. That was a long time ago. But in these cases, we have like a few months, like when I came back last year, a lady came to the office to complain, like she was eating a sardine, for breakfast, and then the sardine was spoiled.
Yes.
And then this lady brought it, and she was very furious. She came and reported the case to the office. So we took her details, and then we take the details of where she bought the food market. Then we went there to inspect. We look at the product. So the products all of them were not expired. But that single product, so that is a quality issue. Yes. So at the processing area where the product was manufactured, yes, they had some quality, because in the production, in food production areas, they have this HACCP system, where it is documented, it is very rigorous.
Last week,
where there is no cases of food contamination, but that happened there.
Yes.
So we even did online checking to check that product to see that if it was tampered. Okay. But our investigation found that the product was not tampered, it was legit. But that single tin had an issue. So we don't have any case to punish that guy.
Last week, my wife bought a pot of Armanti mayonnaise.
Yes.
And she prepared something, and when I eat, the taste changed. But when I look at the date, I think it's now to 3 months before it expires. But the taste is changing.
It changed, yes. So this is very possible, because like food don't only spoil because of it's not yet expired. Many things determine it, how you handle the food. So for example, you have a milk and you put it on the, at room temperature. After 24 hours, that milk is spoiled. So because of it is not stored properly. So sometimes it's the storage issue, and also we are found in a geography where the temperatures are very high sometimes during the day, and then the condition of the shops. So this can sometimes ruin the product. It can spoil it before the expiry date. So this is sometimes have to be with the handling issue. So this is why, we said from farm to fork is to be safe. That is the handling aspect, during the distribution to the final consumer.
Thank you, Mr. Balde.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Just finally, on the newly launched laboratory, what will this mean for Gambia's food system?
Very good question. So the new is a game changer. This new laboratory will make every Gambian safer, will make the nation healthier, and also it will add to the development of this country. Because for example, if you buy bad food, you eat the food, you get sick, you go to the hospital, you spend money, right? So, and also when your child gets sick, they will go to the hospital, you spend money. And also, beside that, you losing money, you will lose work, your child will not go to school, and also it will strain our healthcare system. So government will have to import more drugs. So that's a lot of, it will have devastating effects on our country. But when the food laboratory starts running, we'll be able to test our food. So any food that is coming into this country, we will take a sample and take it there. They will test it to know that this food is safe, fit, and wholesome. Any food that is going into our markets will also be tested. So this will make Gambians healthier. And also it will make the country more prosperous. We've been also spending money, sending laboratories, for samples to overseas. So this will stop, besides employing Gambians. So we will also probably having people sending, in the future when the lab get accredited, we will have people bringing in samples here, to test. So we will not, it will not only make Gambia safer, it will make the region safer, and we also set standards.
Thank you, Mr. Balde,
for very good thing
for
for
talking to us on QTV this morning.
Thank
Quite
you.
very interesting interaction here.
Thank you very much.
And we hope people will take heed and store their foods properly.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And let's be, let's all of us be responsible, and save ourselves, and also be a safer country in terms of
so
food.
we will engage you again for another segment. Probably it will be in the local language.
No problem. I will gladly do that.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So viewers will be right back after the break. Then we will be talking to the Setal Suñu Réew Banjul Community Cleaning Exercise team. We'll be back. This is QTV This Morning. I am Ibrahima Balde. We are back after that break, talking to Dr. Idrissa Balde from Food Safety. Now let's shift our attention to cleaning, the Gambia. setal suñu réew Banjul community cleaning exercise. Of course, as you know, a clean nation is a healthy and wealthy nation. And the Setal Suñu Réew team have been embarking on cleaning exercise now for quite a while now. And I think yesterday, Banjul, it was Banjul's turn. Now we have Suleiman Conte and Hilip Kamara. Sirif Kamara. Oh, okay. They made a mistake on the name. Sirif Kamara, please make sure you don't mix the name. It's Sirif Kamara. It's good to have you, Suleiman. Naka ngeen def?
Alhamdulillah, Balde. Kontaan nañ pour ñëwaat this morning. ñun léegi muy mel ni this morning moom.
waaw
regulars lañ.
because da ngeen ne. dañ bugg a setal réew mi.
Exactly.
ñun tam this morning ñu ne. duñ leen bàyyi ngeen dox. You will never walk alone.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So it's good ne frequently, because ñu ne soo waxee ne lekka bi neexu dafa fekk ne am nga beneen option. So if you keep eating so ko continue di lekka rek one time di nga ko waa tea bi amut sugur so demee to an extent di nga mean tea without sugar at some point. So do you tie we will still keep talking to the people about cleanliness because it's very important. And then dama yaakaar ne soo xoolee people lack the understanding because Gambia bi fii dafa nduru ni am na ñu foog ne ñoom ñoo war a tilimal ñu foog ne am na ñu war a setal. Exactly. So why logically without knowing that ne yow soo tilimalutee then setalkat du ñëw. Wow. So so this is it. Duñ tay we will still continue talking to people. I think that this is the 6th ambassador biñ dem Banjul. Demoon nañ Brikama Bakar Sambuya ñëw Bundung fii nii naka Bitik Yasin Ton Table Tanje Mariam Kunda Johnson and 7th léegi ñu ñëwoon nañ Banjul démba the capital city of the Gambia. Which was very good. ñu ngi lëkkaloo ak Kër Xale yi Foundation. Chipa yi suma artiste bi jiite ko so it was a good one. Yeah.
Okay. So yow Sheriff Camara naka nga collaboration bi yéen ak Setal Suñu Réew team bi naka la ñëwee ak tamit yow noo gisee initiative bi.
Yeah, asalaamaaleykum maa ngi nuyu àdduna di nuyu Gambia yëpp waaye mun na nekk Banjul Bekoyna di leen wax ne Sheriff Camara la commonly known as Chipa yi the founder of Kër Xale yi Foundation. Waaw question bu ma laaj ne di ko rafetlu initiative bi lu ko waral mooy ne ñu ñëpp Banjul leen dëkka te fi ne Banjul mooy di capital city of the Gambia. te soo ne Banjul mooy seetu Gambia ñu ñëpp xam nañ capital lan la si dëkka tey soo bàyyi xel soo demee Sénégal nga ne Dakar mënuloo wax Sénégal without Dakar. te da ngaa gis ne Banjul moo mun a jaay Gambia te ñu fi ne tamit Gambia soo bàyyi xel Banjul soo dugasee for exemple nga jógee Sénégal dugasi Banjul Gambia Banjul ngaa ji kaa am. te fi ne Banjul dafa war a set te si biir loolu la ñu gars yi di mun a joojee su fekkee Banjul dafa tilim doo mini ne yow already sa biir xel jàpp nga ne Gambia yëpp noonu la dafa tilim. understand nga so buñ jàpp ba mu amee loolu si biir sin xel ñu fii la ne ñu gis initiative bi te dañ dem faral di def setal waaye sin gox rek la day am so ñu gis yu mel ni ñu ne war nañ koo gën a mun a yaatal xaaral ñu try chance bi nga xam ne pour dina mun a mobiliser Banjul yëpp pour ñu ñëw jàppa si ñu setal sin gox. understand nga so buñ capee lii ñu ne xaaral ñu apply far yàlla def si diggante bi ñu contact ñu mobilize team bi ñu dem setal Banjul waaw pour xam nga rek waaw mu nekk béréb bi nga xamante ne dafa healthy dëkkuwaay pour ñëpp mun a dëkka te ñu choose pour aaj bi te dañ choose aaj bi waaye mun ma woon a complete aaj bi comme ça ni mu ko waxee woon rek raati because of ne Banjul nu mu mel macha allah da ngaa rey ba tas waa tilim na trop te wax nañ ko tamit soxla nañ ndimbal maa ngi oy council bi si Banjul City Council pour ñu génn si seet naka leen si war a mun a gën a jàppee waaw so loolu leen toog ñu mobilize people bi ñu dem si aaj bi pour setal ak yu mel noonu waaw so noonu la affaire yi ñëwee benn accès fii démba ñu partner ak QCell.
waaye lan moo tax mënu leen woon a pour complete boor boobu noonu pour ngeen dugga si dëkk bi ba Banjul dafa rëy de. because xam naa ne soo leen àggee boori Liman. ak boori Hafda yooyu noonu. si la moo gën a tense.
waaw war naa mun a nekk because lu xew mooy xëy na bu ñoo contact ak dee bi dafa xaloon a shot. ba pare xëy na tamit si diggante bi. waaw waroon naa gën a suñ amoon bi nga xamante ne comme benn 2 weeks bi nga xam ne dinañ gën a mobilize football team si gën a mobilize ñu bari loolu tamit dina doon gën a dimbale understand nga waaye ba tey bonut xëy na bi first part bi la comme ni ko gars yi waxee su fekkee dem nañ bi nga xamante ne addina dem nañ that award am nañ tools yi nga xamante ne moom lañ soxla fi leen ne every weekend dinañ try gën a mobilize people bi ñu gën a mën a gën a setal foog naa every samedi wala every dimanche soo ko am si at bi foog naa balaa at bi di jeex foog naa war nañoo mën a setal Banjul yëpp. waaw so loolu nekk na am solo.
So the other thing is because time frame moo fa di nekk tamit programme bi starts from 8 a.m. to 1.
Okay.
You know comme nu mu ko waxee tamit you know dafa gàttaay little bit but soo xoolee liggéey bi Balde ci boori NIA office bi right ci gannaaw lifin bi naka aaj bi yaa ngi understand so aaj bi tamit pavilion bi coming down yëpp lañ bale dem ci gannaaw aaj bi Gambia High Johnson Gambia High bi at the National Assembly
waaw
ñëwee nii you know boori Max Line bi you know it
kon def ngeen a lot
massive job you know tey jii nii ku fa dem Gambia High sax xam naa gars yi dinañ dem school te ñu naan ñana fi ñëwoon because it looks totally different nga gis ni ñax bu nekk si roundabout bi you know sax dañ am pour génne yooyu yëpp ak you know waaye kontaan nañ tamit because one of the reason why Banjul war cee bokk comme kii nu mu ko waxee Banjul is the capital is the face of the country te most of the time gan mun naa ñëw sa kër te waxutaa yow laajtewut kenn mun na laa jooj based on ni mu fekkee ni nga dëkkee ki yooyu noonu so foog naa ne ñun ak waa Banjul ñun ñëpp a war a lëkkaloo ñu seet naka la ñu you know doolelee you know affaire yi setal ci biir Banjul bi because Banjul léegi macha allah streets yëpp ay you know concrete you know and you know what I mean
wow
so suuf bi bëriwul rek you know so nga gis ne there is a way exactly a mechanism that will be put in place rek nga gis ne pour setal Banjul dafa yomba you know waaye comme nu mu ko waxee dinañ fa delluwaat foofu noonu hopefully next time suñ fa delluwaat tamit dinañ ko gën a prepare for more people to come out
man leena rek moo ma xaw a jaaxal si initiative bi it's a good one it's a positive one waaye attitude si xam nga suñ clété aaj bi waruñoo ñëw next week ñu fekk yëpp mu ngi am mbuus mu ngi tilim so loolu mun ngeen koo facto ak yan matuwaay ngeen mun a jël pour gis ne loolu tam amut
okay so the mentality of people pour nit ñi xalaat ne waaw most people démba rek am na ku doon tontu benn boy foofu noonu because ne lii du dem like the mentality of the du dem loolu dañ ko bëgg a wipe out because dina dem yaa ngi understand dina dem you know dina dem but the thing is consistent waxtaan la pour you know nit ñi ñoo war a understand ne waruma tilimal naka ngay lekkee mboxa nga sànni ko nga lekka café nga naan café sori nga sànni ko nga génne dara si mbuus sànni ko you know léegi yow naka la nit mun a dëkkee ci loolu nga yaakaar ne sa dëkkuwaay dafa seet waaye lu xew mooy Balde du ñu taay yes we will not give up xam nga starting door affaire daf day jafe waaye boo demee ba nit ñi miin ko dafa gën a yomba so setal sunu réew will still continue doing this with the ambassadors ak yooyu noonu te dinañ use platform bi ni TV nañ use radio bi in fact next Friday ñu ngi door a special 1 hour radio talk show basically on setal sunu réew dinañ am social media handles yoo xam ne will you know what I mean dinañ create contents and stuff like that so I think you know jot na pour ñuy waxtaan ak nit ñi you know bul nekk sa biir moto comme ni nga ko waxee si advert bi bul nekk sa biir moto nga lekka nga sànni si biti moto bang fa mun nga koo bàyyi si biir moto bi boo àggee sa kër nga génnee loolu dugal ko si dos bi so attitude si ñoo war a change ci paw ndax du
waaw si yoon moo tax comme ma emphasize lu ndaw lu raati doon wax because it's a very important topic démba rek su loolu leen doon emphasize te maa ngi amoon kenn koo xamante ne si ñun la bokkoon mu ngi meegoon a video about it not to literally because tey sa affaire yi make na big impact because bu ma doon ñëw si suba deputy mayor of Banjul honorable Aziz Daba Gueye di ko nuyu moom koon la ma because ñoom romb nañ si aj bi gis nañ affaire yi Banjul ni mu setee understand nga lu mu bon at least su du dara comme loo ko waxee Banjul City Council war na ñëw mën a dimbale comme looy wax nii comme raati mu ngi wax kenn ne lii amuñ njëriñ wala lii du mun a dem war na ñoo mën a tegal sarta bi nga xam ne Banjul City Council tey ñu ne koo xam ne jàppane la nga saani am na loi bu nga xamante ne dina dal sa kaw loolu suñ ko waaye war nañ koo mën a war nañ koo gën a implement waaw dañ ko war a implement
so pour woon la ne the people are not aware di nga su ma la waxee léegi di nga ne de Souleymane yaa ngi wax Tanje si bridge bi ñu ngi clean di clean the whole you know ñu ngi clean waa ji ñëw ak puus-puusam bi ni fu ñu doon clean rek mu sooti ko fa
déedéet kay
nii It's not a story.
And you were there
Latel
cleaning.
Zainab is in the video, so Zainab video na ko at some point.
Really?
ñëw nag ma ne ko bro looy def nii lan ngay def
Well,
nii
imagine yen console and fa nekut luy xew.
So-
yenang fa mu def loolu. What about if you are
but this is
absent?
what I'm saying.
Discriminating
dañ set up
dumping.
place boobu naa it looks very nice like everything, but now gradually mu ngay delluwaat foofu noonu.
Dafa
people are
dellu,
lit-
waaw.
so the point is now people need to understand ne waruñoo sànni mbalit fi nga xam ne waruñ ko faa sànni.
Waaye
That's, you
council
know.
itam dañu war a
but
jël
léegi
seen
nga xool
responsibility.
man boy bi mer na waaye ndax police la am I the judiciary or something.
Amuloo right.
Exactly. So dama am pour advice ko rek ma mer nii rek bàyyi ko because am na lu ma for example if I should do something to the suñ demee police nañ ma wane ndax yoo lañ santaane pour nga def loolu so ñun askan bi ñoo war a understand ne ñun dañoo dem pour bale
Exactly.
ñu yërëm ñu bàyyi suñ balee ñoom ñu tilimal waaye nag pour teach lesson to people ñi nga xam ne respectuñ setal affaire setal ñooñu man su ma gisee I should have gone to the police station and said ne maa ngi bële fële wala fële ngi set waaye julle dem na saani foofu noonu den police yi ñëw ñu seet si book bi lan la loi bi wax ci ki nga xam ne dafa tilimal police ama ñu teg ko kii dégga ko man ma dégga ko yow nga dégga ko keneen dégga ko suñ ko defee benn ñaar ñetti nit da nga foog ne nit ñi dinañ tilimal place but non so nit ñi da ngaa dem imaginal nga dem si nit nga naan ko ne bu leen tilimal fii mu naan la ne fan laa koo sànni man ngay laajte loolu.
It's crazy. Attitude la fu mu nekk nii attitude la.
soo bàyyee baax na trop anti ay sa du mun da wallee na comme ça li ma wax nii foog ñu génne ko si xeli nit ñi si may na nit ñi wane ne comme yow warul nekk si biir moto nga lekk ba pare sànni ko wala naan kafe Tuuba dara sànni at least soo naanee mu fekk la si biir moto paak ko si biir moto bi driver bi su demee ba si garage bi su gisee mbalit mu sànni ko waaye loolu yëpp comme ni ñu ko dee waxee la rek si société bi la mun da wax benn point démba ne dem war a dem si school si dem mobilize loolu doore ko from primary school ba si high school si dem waxa students si understand nga comme lii yëpp nekk na li nga xamante ne at the end of the day maybe dina change seen mind maybe in the future dina make impact waaw pour dem waxaa ndaw yi ñoom tam ñu magaa loolu wane ne man su ma lekkee dama ko war a dugal suma poos ba ma gis mbalit ma sànni ko
te lu ma jaaxal Souleymane soo fi jógee léegi nga tukki nga dem beneen dëkka doo tilimal dëkka boobu de waaw kuy sànni fii si mbedda bi su jógee fii mu dem beneen dëkka su naanee ndox dafa téye affaire si ba mu gis dustbin mu sànni ko du ko sànni si kaw tali bi nekkul ne we cannot do it we can do it waaye amuñ that discipline to do it
xam nga ne even su dul setal sax there are a lot of things in this country nit ñi daal man du ma def lii man du ma def lii bu du tuggee bitim réew ñu ngi def
da nga ko def by force because waaye tam foofu système bi dafa baax because système bi laws yi the laws are biting you understand so ñun fii am nañ laws waaye laws yi they are not biting
imagine so violated the rules ñu yóbbu la community service for 2 weeks ñu jàppala yaa ngi sànni mbalit ci place loi bi jàppala ñu naan la léegi yow da ngaa dem community every suba da ngaa dem community cleaning ngay def
of course
suba bu nekk da ngaa ñëw fii nga ànda gars yi ngeen dem clean for 2 weeks imagine
I think ne dañ
war a
come up with
we have to be
initiatives
ready
like that
dañ war a pare
ñu ko clean waaye nga clean tey next week nit ki dem foofu
waaw mu
tilim
tilimal
it's like ñu ngi go back to square zero so loolu noonu nekkul
nga gis ñu jël benn këri nit rek def ko sànneekaay mbalit
Manjai fii
Bem pile si kaw
Manjai I think it's less than 100 meters away from the main highway def nañ fa dump site léegi officially because léegi all these donkey carts yooyu no foofu lañ dee sànnee mbalit te KMC daf dee ñëw ñum fa officials of KMC di feyeeku ñi donkey cart pa lii benn trip $100
te këri jàmbur la
$100 it's a big lii foofu noonu big land la léegi fu mu nekk nii it's officially the official dump site Manjai here balaa the first Atlas petrol station
demal fii Tone Table si gannaaw laboratory bu ees buñ ubbi nii demal ci gannaawam is the face of the
te loolu lu gën a naxari mooy place yoo xam ne yooyu lañ yaakaar pour gan yi su ñëwee ñu koo gis foofu moo day gën a tilim
no especially aj bi sa
Tanje soo agee Tanje si bridge bi at the bridge in Tanje you will be known like no man the view should be very nice and everything ñun dañ clean foofu noonu ba soo fa gisee bi nga kontaan but tey jii soo delluwee it's like people are still I mean so the community the police the law enforcement xam man lan
dañ war a
nag luñ am ñun duñ tay we'll keep sensitizing and we'll keep cleaning but to enforce the law.
Well, man, I think there is no political will tam at some point, because da nga gis ne tey maybe nguur bi dañoo seet ñu ne lii area council bi ñoo ko amee, let's say Tanje area, ñu ne Brikama ñoo ko amee, so let's see what will happen to the people, because ñu ngay gis affaire saa so ñun implementing so dafa jaxasoo daal, you cannot understand.
There is a disconnect.
Yeah,
between local
in a very
government
professional way. Man, I usually don't want to talk and sound political at some point, right? But yaakaar naa ne tamit ne, manko bu war a nekk si diggante government bi ak local government bi dafa lapse at some point.
Yeah.
Because su ma gisee heads of governments pointing at local government heads as to mbalit projects and stuff like that, then it feels like, I mean, okay, local government, but it's under the main, central government, exactly, at some point. While I guess someone working in the central government is pointing fingers at Brikama Area Council for their fish markets kind of, and stuff like that. And stuff like that and all that. So it feels like the lapse is mungfa, and then government will always tell you the cleaning exercise is under the local government. So ñom dañ ci génné sen loxo, probably I don't know na political points mo fa nekk because place bi su tilimé na abal dem moko tilimal dem len ci balde moko amé té du mom ngeen votal.
The former government, former president, yaa jëm daf ko daan mën a def. Foog naa leen daan mën a def every foog naa moo setal daf daan mën a am happen. Te loolu yëpp nekk na loo xam ne daf daan make impact. Waaw dama xamul ndax loolu war nañ ko mën a isiwaat ndax war naa mën a
indi woon nañ ko sax waaye fula luñ ko.
War nañ ko war a mën a fulal.
It's very interesting.
The local government, the local ñoom war nañ di ñëw at the end of the day comme nu ma la ko waxee Banjul City Council. Man gëj naa dégg Banjul City Council ñu génn si ne ñu ngi mobilize people waa Banjul pour organise a heavy setal bi nga xamante ne dañoo mobilize football team si dem si community bi wala councilor bu nekk ward councilor bu nekk ñu ne la ok ñu la wax nga mobilize even 30 people sa gox nga ñëw ñu setal ku nekk setal sa gox loolu yëpp nekk na li nga xamante ne tey suñ ko defoon biir Banjul dina setal Banjul waaye honestly di nga toog Banjul benn full year doo gis fenn fuñ hôtel setal so obviously so fa fekkee Banjul la noonu nga ko bàyyee tilim bi dafa des ba tey waaye councilor bu nekk soo génnoon sa gox nga mobilize 30 people bisi si ñëw support ko back ko ñu isi matériel sugas
of course dafa
loolu dina gën a setal
dafa doon
waaw
thank you time bi jeex na thank you very much for coming Mr. Camara and Suleiman for coming on the program. Xam naa ne lii moom ñu góorgóorlu rek ñu continuer xam naa ne as time goes on dina fa nekk comme luñ doon discuss la julde ñu nag Mr. Mbodj politics bi bu yàggee dafa change dynamics bi dafa change dafa jël time de waaye it of course dina change waaw so loolu la so this is all we have Julde for today.
Until we come your way tomorrow for another edition of QTV This Morning, survive from us.
Bye bye.